back. We've returned. Hi. How's it going? Good, I hope. We're going to continue playing. I've got the yawns. Load game. Okie dokie, that's right. Now then, what are we gonna do? Oh, I believe it's only 2, so let's work on that. Sympathy. Patience. And let's go with that one. Sorry about the coughing. My throat's a bit sore. That. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okay, that's pretty good. While Sarah was walking through the school, she heard a great commotion coming from a nearby room. The first high-pitched shriek made her startle. Concerned that one of the younger girls might have injured herself, Sarah was a quiet and solemn girl. I can't say that word. Herself. But made no judgment against those whose temperaments led them to cry out loudly when they were in pain. However, the wailing went on and on, more angry than miserable, and the voice was recognisably Lottie's. Sarah came closer and began to make out the accompaniment of frustrated adult that had been drowned out by childish tantrum. What are you crying for? There is nothing wrong with you. I make such good crying noises. I haven't got any mama. Oh, she got no mama? Head pat. Poor Lottie. Stop crying, for heaven's sake. Jeez, that's just rude. Haven't got any mama. Hide those tears. Poor baby. Oh, so rude. So rude. You ought to be whipped. You shall be whipped. If you do not hush, you naughty child. We don't like you. Lottie wailed more loudly than ever. Yeah, no wonder. Jeez, I wonder why. Miss Minchin emerged from the room, her hands pressed to the sides of her head, and paused when she saw Sarah lingering outside. Oh, dear Sarah. Miss Minchin's attempt at producing a friendly smile was not at all convincing. Lottie's roars continued unabated, and each burst of sound made Miss Minchin's shoulders twitch. I stopped because I knew it was Lottie, and I thought, perhaps, just perhaps, I could try to make her be quiet. Miss Minchin? If you can quiet that child, you are a clever child. Wait, if you can quiet that, you are a clever child. Dreadful thing. We may not be able to keep her. Because she's crying? because she's crying. Gee, this is quite a way to start, isn't it? But you are clever in everything, my dear. I dare say you can manage her. Go in. I am unimpressed. When Sarah entered the room, Lottie was laying upon the floor, screaming and kicking her small fat legs violently. Poor Lottie. Crying child noises. Sarah stood by the howling, furious child for a few moments and looked down at her without saying anything. Then she sat down flat on the floor beside her and waited. Except for Lottie's angry screams, the room was quite quiet. This was a new state of affairs for Lottie, who was accustomed to hearing other people protest and implore and command and coax her by turns. To find that the only person near her did not seem to mind in the least how she kicked and screamed was unusual, and made it necessary for her to pause her sobbing in order to see what was going on. She opened her tight shut, streaming eyes to see who this person was, and found that it was only another little girl. But it was the one who owned Emily and all the nice things. Sarah looked at Lottie quite curiously, but said nothing. Lottie sucked in a gulp of air, but the noise she made sounded rather half-hearted. I haven't any mama. Neither have I. Lottie blinked rapidly at this unexpected answer. Her legs and arms ceased their kicking and lay flat against the floor. Where is your mama? She went to heaven, but I am sure she comes out sometimes to see me, though I don't see her. So does yours. Perhaps they can both see us now. Perhaps they are both in this room. Here? Lottie sat bolt upright and looked around. Seeing nothing, her face began to scrunch up again. We can't see the people who live in heaven, even when they come to visit us. They travel like wind or sunlight. You can only feel them for a moment if they touch you, and then they're gone. They can go anywhere in an instant, but most of the time they stay up above. The land is full of lilies, fields and fields of lilies, and when the soft wind blows over them, it wafts the scent of them into the air. And everybody always breathes it, because that soft wind is always blowing. Wind and sunlight, and the streets are always shining. And little children run about in the lily fields, and gather armfuls of them, and laugh and make little wreaths to wear on their heads, or spin cloaks and dresses of soft lily petals. The petals never go dry or brown, but when the children grow tired of them, they toss the petals into the air and they turn into clouds. Lottie had by now quite forgotten to cry, and was leaning forward, hanging on every word that Sarah spoke. In that shining city, people are never tired, however far they walk. They can float anywhere they like. And there are walls made of pearl and gold all around the city. But they are low enough for the people to go and lean on them, and look down on the earth and smile. From those walls, sometimes they dance down to visit us. Other times they whisper beautiful messages into the wind and hope that someday we will hear them. Oh, I want to go there. I haven't any mama here. Sarah saw the danger signal and took hold of Lottie's hand with a coaxing little laugh. I will be your mama in this school. We will play that you are my little girl, and Emily shall be your sister. Shall she? Yes. Let us go and tell her and then I will wash your face and brush your hair, and both of us shall have a little bit more family. Okay, well let's have another event with the Lottie then. Sarah's room was a bright little jewel in the sometimes drab nest that was Miss Minchin's select seminary. It remained a bright jewel even when Sarah was not inside it, which could be seen now by the small figure that crept in through the opened door. Lottie closed the door behind her, then climbed up onto Sarah's bed. She placed her legs just a little bit apart and carefully patted down her skirt to ensure that the petticoats were shown exactly as much and as little as intended. That's weird. That's weird. I'm a dolly. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, she's a doll. Oh, head pats. Oh, she's so cute. Oh. Then she laid her arms at her side, tilted back her head, and waited. A minute later, Sarah and her maid Mariette entered the room. A flower that looks the same upside down as it does right side up, but I can't think of. Her voice paused briefly as she came into the room, and Lottie knew she must have been noticed. Quickly, she closed her eyes. She would never be able to keep a straight face if she looked at Sarah. After that moment, Sarah continued, "My goodness, Emily must have been busy today. I think she was in such a hurry to get back to her seat when we came in that she didn't quite reach the same position." "I see, mademoiselle." Will you tell us what you have been up to, Emily?" "No?" "You are very good at keeping secrets." "I think we ought to change her clothes and get her ready for bed. She must be very tired." "Do not forget the new doll." Lottie fought not to giggle, imagining Sarah picking her up next and changing her clothes like a doll. That's weird. That's weird. But she had to keep her eyes shut or she would spoil the joke. "Oh, I'm sure she'll be fine. Dolls have to know how to be still for very long periods of time. A doll in a shop window where everyone can see her must stand for hours and hours without even blinking. I would not like to try it. Standing so long. Dot dot dot. Here, take Emily's shoes and put them away safely. It would be terrible if she lost them. She needs to be able to run quickly." "Yes, mademoiselle." Lottie began to realize that no one intended to pay any attention to her. Sarah and Mariette continued to fuss over Emily, adjusting her nightgown and her pillows. The new doll was utterly neglected. Lottie couldn't help herself any longer. She whined. "What was that? Oh, Lottie, when did you come in?" "I thought you were a doll." "I don't want to be a doll. Being a doll is boring." You get head pats. Head pats for the doll. Well, I think it's interesting enough for a doll to be a doll, but it's not so much fun for a girl to be one. Don't you think, Mariette? "As you say, mademoiselle." New week. "Girls, gather around if you please. We don't like you. We will be welcoming a special dance instructor today who is visiting us from France. She will be leading you in exercises to increase your grace and posture. Go and change into your leotard-style dancing costumes. She swept off to her office and the girls clustered eagerly together. A special dance instructor? Do you suppose she might be from the Ballet de l'Opera de Paris? I think I said that okay. The Ballet of Paris? Oh, head pats for you. The Paris Opera Ballet. Of course, the absolute birthplace of romantic ballet, and they go all the way back to the court of the Sun King. Oh, I'm not fond of ballet, as you are. No one is as fond of ballet as Jessie is. It is a sickness with her. I wonder if there really is a sickness that could make you like one thing or one person more than another. And if there were, would anyone wish to be cured? Such things you imagine. In any event, it might not be ballet. She is a special instructor, after all. Perhaps we will be permitted to practice social dances, perhaps even the waltz. My father says the waltz is shocking. Watching you attempt to perform it no doubt would be. Such sass. See this sass? Nyeh. Nyeh. If we were allowed to waltz, I will be dancing with Jessie. Oh? Perhaps we had better go and get our costumes. Ermengarde is very sensible. It took only a little praise as that to make poor Miss St. John look pleased. Oh, head pats again. You are the sweetest. Yes, sweet bean. There we go. Click. The dancing lessons did not progress quite as anyone expected. I like the music. I do not see how this can be described as dancing. It is preparation for dancing. We are learning to stretch and relax our bodies so that we may move more beautifully. It's French, cat. Sarah, is this the way things are usually done in France? I never asked Mariette whether she took dancing lessons. I want to walk on my hands. Oh, you're so cute. Pat, 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 pat. Leave your hands on the floor long enough and Ermengarde will trot on them for you. You're rude. Jessie, be careful. You are tickling me. The instructor said it was imperative that... Stop it. Stop. To speak of muscle open upon a lady is very unseemly. Everybody has muscles. I want to have strong muscles. I want to be buff. And I want to have abs. But I do not. I should work out. But working out is hard. Your hands are very strong, Ermengarde. Oh? Did I hurt you? Pardon me. No, not a bit. It feels nice. It is a little like having my hair brushed. Oh, that's cool. Makes me feel like a cat being petted. Oh, that's cute. I want to be a cat. I want to dance like a cat. I'm a cat. I'm a kitty cat. And I dance, 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 and I dance, dance, dance. Oh. Cats don't dance. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You've obviously never seen Princess Tutu. Cats definitely dance. They dance at the court of the King of Cats. Yeah. How do they dance, Sarah? Do they stand on their hind legs? Well? Girls, cease chattering and get ready for your lessons. Never. Yes, Miss Mansion. Grace and belief are now very low. Okie dokie. Well, we'll do practicing dance. And that one then. We'll do that. That's not that bad. Are you well, ma petite? Yes, I am only feeling a little tired. That's good. The days have been growing warmer, but the air never feels the same way that it did in India. I suppose Ermengarde is right, and it is the smell of London. Even if I cannot distinguish one scent above the others, that would mean London. It must always be there, as I am. Bon courage. Courage. Bon courage. I can't say words. I have something here which will brighten your day. A letter from Papa? Oh, merci, Mariette. Merci beaucoup. She did not open it at once, but pressed the envelope to her chest. My Papa has sent this. It has been in his hands. If a letter can come from his hands into mine, then we are never so far apart. At last, she took out the paper and began to read. My dear little missus, here I am once again in Bombay. I have little to tell of my adventures, for no sooner did I reach my home than I began thinking of you and putting pen to paper. Therefore, I have seen little since I left you other than ships, and you remember those. Sarah closed her eyes and let herself remember the voyage from India, the big ship, the Lascars passing silently to and fro on it, the children playing about on the hot deck. There had been women on board, the wives of some young officers, who had invited Sarah to take tea with them, and delighted in making her speak her unusual thoughts. But most importantly, there had been her Papa. I felt it important to write to you at once, so that you would not worry about your poor old Papa, all alone on the ocean. All is well, I am returned, and life here is remarkably unchanged in my absence. Now it is your duty to let me know if all that has happened since I left you. All the new friends you have made, the books you have read, and the sights you have seen in London. Do you remember Colonel Grange and his little girl Isabel? In a year she will be old enough that she must leave for England as well. I am relying on your advice to tell her what to expect in her schooling. Give my regards to Emily and any companions you may have acquired. Yours always, your loving Papa. Sarah held the letter in her hands, already beginning to imagine the many things she might write in response. I love you too, Papa. Aww. This cute. Okay, I am going to take a quick bathroom break. Be right back. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're back. Click, click. Okay. I want to do... Which story shall we do? Which one? Which one? Let's go visit Lavinia because like I don't like her, but she's interesting. So, in her room, Lavinia was displaying her favorite framed print for Sarah's perusal. Even though it is only a print and not an original painting, I keep her on my wall to serve as my inspiration. She is the quintessential English rose, you see. Not the daring and fashionable Gibson girl, but a more traditional beauty, delicate and fair. You see how white her skin is, with only the faintest touch of rose at her cheeks and lips, and her hair that light ash brown, so unassuming and untouched by artifice. Do you see how she reclines, how she sighs, modest and tender as a petal? That is true beauty. Oh, I say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody has their own kind of beauty. You will never measure up to that standard, of course. Rude. We're better than standards. I know. Don't say that. You tell her that you are gorgeous. Neither will you. I am not fair-haired or soft or rosy-cheeked, but your hair is as straight and black as mine, and your skin is darker. Dark skin is beautiful, okay? Okay? Light skin is beautiful, dark skin is beautiful. It's all beautiful, alright? We just like, if people just like different things from each other, and that is fine. Okay? However, you could certainly make some improvements. Your clothing is so queer and old-fashioned. What makes a difference between old-fashioned and traditional? One is better than the other, obviously. Duh. But really, that's a good question though. What's the difference between traditional and old-fashioned? I feel like traditional has some kind of cultural meaning to it. You know, traditional has culture to it. If that makes sense. That's not an answer. It's an answer, it's just not a good answer. Where did you get such a wardrobe? What was your mother thinking? She doesn't have a mum. That's rude. Head pats. My mother is dead. Oh. Oof. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Very little ever seemed to make Lavinia uncomfortable. This subject, however, took her composure. Gee, I wonder why. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be. I didn't know. It's alright. I never knew her, so it doesn't make me sad. She died when I was born. Well, anyway, it's just not done to talk about the departed, and especially not to criticize them. That is a piece of English manners which you should learn. She didn't say anything bad about them. You did. But yeah, that's a pretty good advice there. Like, kind of. So to say. So, I ask that you forgive me for what I said. Of course I forgive you. I wonder if her mother is dead too. But if she says it's rude to talk about it, she would probably be upset if I asked. Probably, yeah. In any case, I suppose that explains your clothes. Your poor father was left to outfit you all on his own. Men have no head for fashion. That is not true. That is definitely not true. There are some very, very fashionable men out there. And non-binary people. Clothing doesn't have gender, guys. Perhaps you would develop your own style when you are older. What do you think, Miss Crew? Will you become a new woman? I don't know what a new woman is. Me neither. What does she mean by that? Is there an old woman? What is the difference? I suppose every woman will eventually become an old woman. But every girl must become a new woman at some point first. How do you tie yourself in knots? If you aren't careful, you will become known as a blue stocking. What is a blue stocking? Sarah looked down at her stockings, which were quite clearly white with blue embroidery. Lavinia sighed noisily. An overly intellectual woman. There's no such thing. You can't be overly intellectual. You're just smart, and that's a good thing. You're silly. Who's been teaching you these things? Who been teaching you? All the bad. All the bad. No. We yeet that. Yeet. Yeet that idea. Goodbye. She turned back to regard her inspirational print. The ideal English lady is accomplished and well-read, but only enough to make polite conversation, not enough to be challenging. Who has been putting these thoughts in your head? Yeet them! Say goodbye to them. You deserve better. I think Lavinia will always be a challenge. You're not wrong. Manners, accomplishments, and of course a good fortune can go a long way to make up for a less than ideal appearance. I mean, personality? Still, there will always be a benefit in looking one's best. That Lottie, with her little golden curls, is likely to become something of a beauty when she is older. If she ever ceases to be an irritatingly spoiled brat. She is 8. I suppose none of us see ourselves as we see others. I am sure I have quite obvious flaws that I completely overlook. I mean, you're very right. You're very right. You probably have lots of good points that you overlook as well. Miss thinks she's ugly and is not ugly. You get head pats. You're so smart. What a smart little bean. There you go. Is it alright then to call her Lottie and not Miss Lee? Oh yes, she's a child. And really, it is tiresome being so formal all the time. We are all practically family here, aren't we? We live under the same roof. We share with each other like sisters. Therefore, you may call me Lavinia. Thank you, Lavinia. Oh, and you may call me Sarah. Lavinia nodded earnestly. Yes, that's just so. Failing to reciprocate would be impolite. If you want to show more enthusiasm, you can be more insistent. You must call me Sarah. However, too much enthusiasm seems clumsy, fawning. It cloys. What does cloys mean? I'm going to look that up. Dictionary meaning. What was it? Cloy? I think that's right. Hold on. Ah. I can't see. Is there a log? There is not. Okay. Cloy, to supply with an unwanted or distasteful excess, usually of something originally pleasing. Oh, okie dokie. Cool. We learnt something new. She does put a good deal of thought into how a lady should behave. But if she must play a part, why not choose a more enjoyable one to play? Maybe she enjoys the part that she's playing. Which is odd, but to each his own. Hist. I think I hear Sarah coming. Quickly, step aside. Don't let her see us. Why? But why? We on the same vibes. Shh. Lavinia took hold of her friend's shoulder and pushed her back against the wall. Yeah, she seems pretty happy. Wait a moment. There, she's gone. Why are we avoiding Sarah? Ever since she got that letter, it's been nothing but India this and India that. If I have to hear her say that word again, I'm afraid the hair will fly right off my head. What is your problem with India? India is lovely. I like her stories. Do you know her father has faced down a tiger? He shot the one who skinned Sarah as in her room. Oh no, it's a real tiger skin. Oh, poor tiger. Oh. That's why she likes it so. She lies on it and strokes its head and talks to it as if it were a cat. It's a dead animal skin. People are weird. That is simply disgusting. Yes, for once I agree with you. If it were a cat, it would be one that had been killed. Yes. What next? Will she... Okay, no, I don't think she's going to drown your cat. And I don't think she's going to have him stuffed and made into a pillow. Oh my goodness. I don't think it's the same thing at all. Sarah says the tiger was attacking the outpost and he had to shoot it. I mean, like, I understand that. I do. But did he have to skin it? Sarah tells stories. You know that. Well, I think her father sounds very interesting, and so does India. It's a... Oh, I don't even want to say that. It's a filthy, disgusting place, rank with foul humours, and don't you forget it, that's not an okay thing to say. What is your problem? Why? It's not even true, okay? Stop it. Stop. Come along now. Alright. Lavinia led and Jessie followed, because of course she did. You sniffing me again, Cleo. I was patting a cat before. I was patting the neighbour's cat, and my cat can smell the neighbour's cat on me and keeps sniffing me. Write in the diary, because we need patience. You need grace. We'll do that. Okay, well, it could have been worse, I guess. Ermengarde, what do you have there? A new book? The plump girl sighed, showing none of the delight Sarah would have found in such a possession. My father sent it to me to be enriching. I don't see how books have made me any richer so far. May I see it? She took the volume from Ermengarde's hands and examined the gold lettering on the cover. This word by this person. A book of French poetry. Sarah's excitement only deepened the other girl's dismay. Would you like me to read it with you? I'm certain that if... What's this? Oh, Sarah, you have a new book? French poetry? Very improving. As long as it isn't one of those shocking new decadent poets. A proper lady should not read such works. Who has been teaching you all the bad things? I'm sure it's nothing of the sort. What would you know about it? I was speaking to Sarah. It's her book. It's her book, girl. You're gonna get embarrassed. Actually, this book belongs to Ermengarde. See? What? Don't be silly. She can't even read. She can too. She just has a hard time reading. Leave her alone. Jeez. Ermengarde grabbed the book. It's mine. Yeah. She turned and walked away. You ought not tease her. I didn't say anything that isn't true. What good is a book of French poetry to someone like her? Says you. Such a waste. She'll probably never even open it. She should have simply given it to you. Admit it. You know that I'm right. You may be right, but it was a gift from her father. I'm sure she will treasure it. Yeah. Not every girl is as devoted to her father as you seem to be, Sarah Crew. I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, who are we going to hang out with? Let's hang out with Ermengarde, because she was being bullied. Ermengarde sat contentedly on the floor of Sarah's room, listening to her read from one of her storybooks. And then he offered to take her away to his father's court, where he would make her his bride. The maiden adored the prince, whose company had charmed her for so many hours, but she could not bear to leave her sisters without first telling them farewell. She bade the prince to leave and return again the next day to the place in the woods where they had met. Sarah did not read the words exactly as they were written, but put her own little touches upon the story to make it turn out the way that she preferred. It was not quite the same as telling her own stories, but Ermengarde still seemed nervous at the idea of stories that had not come from books at all. It was a first step. Once he had gone, she rushed back to her home to take up her work at the wheel, planning to spin twice as fast to cover for her absence. But when she sat down at the wheel, she was dismayed to find that her magic gold thread had lost all its brightness. Her heart beat fast and she wept bitterly, for she remembered her mother's warning and knew not what misfortune might now befall her. She was so afraid that she would be punished for what she had done that she ran away without telling anyone what had happened, not even her beloved sisters. Oh, that's sad. She ran through the woods looking for her prince, but he was on horseback and long since gone. Why? Wasn't he supposed to meet up with her? And while she ran, she did not watch where she was going, and she tripped over a root and fell into a rushing river, disappearing into the swift current. Thus the misfortune was complete. Oh, that ended ominous. She drowned? Not quite. Sarah continued her story, how the maiden was transformed into a golden water lily, who sang in her sorrow, and how she was at last restored to life by the love of her sisters. Ermengarde sighed in contentment. When I hear stories in your voice, I can almost see them happen. You are much better than books. But what about the prince? Doesn't he marry her in the end? He rode over the bridge by the river and heard her singing, but he didn't do anything to save her. It was her sisters who loved her enough to look for her when she was lost. I thought the princes were always heroes. Anyone could be a hero in the right circumstances. That is very wise and very true. I don't think I could. Yes, you could. Yes, you could. Head pats. Head pats for when you're feeling down. There you go. Ermengarde looked around Sarah's room, decorated as it was with the best of at least 3 countries: dependable England, refined France, and exotic India. Do you miss being in India, Sarah? Yes, of course. It was my home and I was happy there. Cleo, you better not be scratching the lounge. You scratching in the lounge? Cheeky cat. Cheeky cat. I had my house and my pets and my Aya, and the skies were never foggy and grey like they are here in England, in London. I loved living there. But I love it most of all because it is where my papa will be. Ermengarde saw Sarah's face suddenly change. A cloud seemed to pass over it and put out the light in her shining eyes. She drew her breath in so sharply that it made a funny, sad little sound. I can't do it. And then she shut her lips and held them tightly closed, as if she was determined either to do or not to do something. Have you a pain? There was a moment of silence in which Ermengarde worried that she might have spoken out of turn, but at last Sarah answered. Yes, but it is not in my body. Her voice was low and somewhat unsteady. Do you love your father more than anything else in all the whole world? Ermengarde's mouth fell open a little. She knew that it would not be correct for a respectable child at a select seminary to say that she did not adore her father, could not imagine being even so much as fond of him. I scarcely ever see him. In fact, she did her very best to avoid being left alone in his company for more than a few minutes. Yeah, families aren't always close. It's very sad. It was not a proper feeling for a daughter, perhaps, and it was clearly not something that Sarah would understand. Ermengarde was indeed greatly embarrassed. No embarrassment for the Ermengarde. No. It's okay. You don't need to be around people who don't make you happy and who don't treat you well, even if they're your parents. That goes to everyone else. Anyone who's watching and listening. You take care of you. It's not okay for people to treat you bad, even if they're your parents, okay? You get the head pats. You can have head pats too. There you go. He is always in the library, reading things. There was a wealth of information in that statement. If Sarah had been inclined to decipher it, but she was too preoccupied by her own feelings, as happens. That happens. I love mine more than all the world 10 times over. That is why what my pain is. He has gone away. Oh, she misses her dad. She put her head quietly down on her little huddled up knees and sat very still for a few moments. Ermengarde had an idea that if she had been like any other little girl, Sarah might have suddenly burst out sobbing and crying. But she did not. Her short black locks tumbled about her ears, and she sat still. Then she spoke without lifting her head. I promised him I would bear it, and I will. You have to bear things. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're allowed to be sad. You are allowed to cry. You don't have to be strong all the time. You just have to do your best. It's okay to show emotion, which is something that I need to say because I don't often show how I'm feeling. So I'm not one to talk. Water. Papa is a soldier, and think what soldiers bear. If there was a war, he would have to bear marching and thirstiness and perhaps deep wounds, and he would never say a word, not one word. Or he should. Ermengarde could only gaze at Sarah, but she felt that she was beginning to adore her. She was so wonderful and different from anyone else. Presently, Sarah lifted her face and shook back her black locks with a queer little smile. If I go on talking and talking, I shall bear it better. You don't forget, but you bear it better. It's okay to be sad. I will talk to you as much as you like. If it helps you, it is good to talk about your problems. But make sure that the person that you're talking to is actually able to listen to your problems at that time. It's not good to lean on other people too much. Like, be considerate. Mariette, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to disturb you. It's quite alright. Are you reading? Wait, that book. I've seen it before. It was the same familiar copy of this title right here. This one. Your friend Ermengarde St. John made a gift of it to me. She thought I might appreciate this book to feel more at home. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think of that. Would you like me to buy you more books in French? I don't mind. Non, mademoiselle. I am content. But it was very a kindly thought of Ermengarde for such a young girl to notice and think of a maid who one who was not in her employ. Many would not. Ermengarde is very nice. I did not even consider Mariette. I wanted that book for myself, but Ermengarde has seen the person who would benefit from it most. Okay, what we be doing? Oh, my throat is sore. Water. Okay, we need belief and we need grace. Okay, so you know what? We're gonna do what we're doing. Done. Patience. belief, knowledge, and art. We don't have any of those. Don't click that one. Don't. Okay, good. Okay, it's alright then. Okay, that could be worse. Sarah was resting in her room with a book when there came a quiet knock on the door. Sarah, Mama? Oh, it's Lottie. Hi, Lottie. What is it, Lottie? Have you come for tea? Marriott has promised us a special treat. Apricot sandwiches. Apricot sandwiches? Oh, yes. No. Sarah, Mama, you like school, don't you? I don't know. It wasn't something she had previously spent a great deal of time deciding. After all, whether I like it or not, I am here now. I don't think I could say that I don't like it. Everyone is kind to me and my rooms are pleasant. No, I'm in school. With books and numbers and remembering things. Oh, yes, I like books very much. Could you help me with my lessons? Because it's hard to pay attention. And when Miss Minchin scolds me, I don't like it when she says my name like that. Miss Lee. I don't like it. But you make everything interesting. Of course I'll help you with your schoolwork, but you still have to learn it. Alright. No! We have an expired event. Oh no. That's... Dozer? Did you just hear that? That's gross, Dozer. Pardon yourself, please. Let's go to Lavinia's event again, because they're always interesting. Also, I want to help her. I don't know what's going on in her life, but Sarah, might I come in? Also, her voice is a bit fun to do. Of course. Lavinia walked through the door to Sarah's rooms, her hands primly clutching a notebook as an older woman might carry a handbag. I wish to speak with you on the subject of Monsieur Dufarge, the French master. You did not correct him when he said that you were French. Sarah blinked, not expecting questions in this direction. It seemed a very small thing to bring up again, so suddenly. She tried to remember what had actually been said. I believe he meant it as a compliment. It would have been impolite to protest. Besides, I am every bit as French as I am English. My mother was French. Lavinia cut her off at once. You are not your mother. That is, I am not saying anything against your mother, of course. But whether she was a grand Paris lady or a common merchant's daughter, that should not matter. She is not you. You are an English girl, being given an English education. There is no need for you to be marked as anything less. French is not less. What is going on in your head? What's going on in your... Oh, you stink, Dozer. Oh, smelly dog. Marked? I don't feel marked, and I don't think that being French is anything less than being English. That's right. You get head pats. See? You don't get head pats because you're saying like racist shit. Don't do that. You get head pats. You can have head pats when you stop. We are in England. Gentlemen wish good English girls. Anything other is, by definition, less. No, it's not. I don't think that's true, but I do think Lavinia believes it, or else that she thinks society believes it. It would be different. You must be English to the core. No, you don't. No, you don't. Lavinia took a seat upon one of Sarah's comfortable chairs and looked around the little room with all its imported treasures. Right now, because you are young and not expected to know the language so well, it makes you a novelty, a charming ornament like your tiger skin rug. Can we not talk about the tiger skin rug? I still feel bad for it. A well bred English lady should speak at least a little French to show that she is cultured, but not be French herself. All of a sudden, Lavinia gave a wicked smile, relaxing her perfect posture. Did you know Miss Minchin can't speak French at all? Not even a little bit. Oh, we're getting into the gossip now. What? Oh, yes, I dare say she's just as helpless as our Ermengarde, although she's desperate to hide it. What a flaw for the proprietor of a school for polishing young ladies. How do you know? My French is not anywhere near as good as yours, but I can put a few sentences together. I have said certain things in her hearing, and she has shown no reaction. Yeah, but you just said that a quote-unquote proper lady should only know a little bit of French, apparently. So maybe she just doesn't know what the particular words that you're saying. I don't know. Also, that's cheeky. Lavinia insulted Miss Minchin in French? No, surely she wouldn't dare. Not when she's concerned with being proper. You should have seen her face when you began speaking so fluently to Monsieur Dufarge. Miss Minchin started in her chair as if she had been jabbed with pins. I did not mean to jab her with pins. Oh, oh. She would never admit to that. She will never blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. She will never admit that she resents you, of course. That would be far too ill bred. I did not wish for her to resent me. I did not wish to make an enemy of anyone. You can't be friends with everyone, Sarah, especially not with those who are beneath you. They will always resent you for what you have, and they do not. Miss Minchin will always praise us in all our endeavours because we are young ladies from good families and she benefits from our wealth. It doesn't mean that she cares for us. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think that is a very lonely way of seeing the world. I mean, yeah. Lavinia shook her head slowly with a smile that was decidedly smug about her greater experience of the world. That is how things are. Okay. What was that accent? She leaned forward in her seat, lowering her voice. You should be careful with Monsieur Dufarge as well. He seems very fond of you. Ugh. But if an unrelated man takes too much interest in a young girl, it might look inappropriate. Yeah, I would think so. I should hope so. How old are you? Like 12? 14? Why, how do you even know this stuff? Stop it. Do not be alone with him. You should always have a chaperone to protect your virtue. You're making a lot of assumptions here. God. This is uncomfy. Stop it. Satisfied, she returned to an upright posture. You understand why I'm telling you these things, don't you, Sarah? I am your role model, and you are my responsibility. I want to help you be happy and successful in your life as an English woman. We are two of a kind, you and I. Once you have settled in, I think we will be very good friends. I don't know about that. Sarah smiled, but her heart was not in it. I do not wish to be a successful English woman. I wish to return home to my papa. Yeah, honestly. uh, this game just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Even when Lavinia is trying to be friendly, I am not certain that I like her. Uh, Girls, gather around, if you please. As the weather is particularly pleasant today, we will be taking carriages to the park for extended riding lessons. Please dress accordingly. Ooh, horse riding. Oh, thank goodness, it's been too long. I have never greatly cared for horses. It is fashionable, and a lady should know at least the basics, but it is simply not comfortable. But horses are cute. Do you ride, Sarah? I would not truly say that I ride, but I have met horses and been in the saddle once or twice. Well, I am sure you'll learn. You learn everything, after all. I do try. I like riding. Oh, wrong voice. I like riding. I wish we could go further than the park, though. It is more pleasant to be on horseback in the countryside. Oh, I agree. It is much lovelier. Imagine it being on horseback, galloping across the wild moors, long hair streaming behind you like a warrior queen of old. Riding strides like some hoyden, even the blah 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 Boudica rode in a chariot. I think I should like a chariot. Just then the discussions were interrupted by the sound of a wailing child. Is it Lottie? Miss Minchin was attempting to bring little Lottie together with the older girls, much to her displeasure. I won't go! I won't! What a ridiculous noise you are making. Stop that at once. Shan't. You are big enough. You are more than old enough to begin learning. Every student at this school is expected to. I hate horses. I won't. Oh, why do you hate horses? Flinching and covering their ears with their hair, the other girls slipped away to change into their riding dresses. Only Sarah remained. If you don't behave, you shall be whipped just like a horse would be. Why do you keep saying that? No! Yeah, no. To Sarah's surprise, Lottie suddenly broke free from Miss Minchin and rushed to Sarah, cowering behind her and pressing her wet face into the fabric of Sarah's dress. Is this more than just a tantrum? Kind of seems like more than just a tantrum. I mean, like, she's being threatened to be whipped. Okay? Miss Minchin, please, could you let me talk to her alone? Dear Sarah, you are very kind, but we simply do not have time for these shenanigans. If you can make her mind swiftly, pardon me, then do so. But it must be done. Shaking her head, she walked away. Yeah, bye. Lottie wiped her grubby hands across her face. Her shrieks had quieted, but her eyes were still little fountains. Poor Lottie. Lottie, are you afraid of horses? Yes. I mean, like, obviously. Well then, no wonder that you're upset. This cheerful justification startled Lottie enough to leave her frozen in mid-sniffle, mouth hanging open. Sarah nodded and continued. It is normal to be upset about things that frighten you. Only, I think it is also normal to try and make yourself less frightened, if you can. You wouldn't want to be afraid forever. Horses are very large, but they can also be kind and sweet. They like apples and carrots and being petted, just like cats do. Lottie now seemed more confused than distraught. Perhaps today you should just go and meet the horses. Then you can come back and play with Tybalt. Don't offer to let her play with Tybalt. Whose cat is Tybalt? I mean, like, if Tybalt is like the school's cat, then I suppose it's fine. Yeah. What if Lavinia won't let me? Then we shall wait until she is not looking, and while we wait, I will tell you about the horse who rescued a lost prince. She held out her hand, and after a moment, Lottie took it. A new weekday activity is now available. Sarah can use her free time to help the younger students with their schoolwork by choosing the tutoring option. Oh, okay. We'll do one. Yeah, we'll do one of those. One of those, and... Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. Well, that wasn't a very productive week. When Sarah came down the stairs, she found Jessie holding a most curious item. It resembled a long wooden spoon, though somewhat thicker in the shaft and with a solid round end instead of a bowl. What are you doing with that? Jessie turned the object over in her hands. Oh, Sarah, isn't it interesting? It's from India. I know. I've heard there are societies for gentlemen and ladies, separate of course, where they all have wooden clubs like these and swing them to strengthen their arms. Or even throw them at each other. Isn't that quaint? I don't know how that's quaint, but okay. Are you sure they throw them at each other? In India, the jugglers throw them up in the air and catch them again. Oh, I don't know. She looked at the solid wooden shape she held. Then up at Miss Minchin's painted ceiling. Perhaps I ought not to try that. Yeah. You're a smart bean. Where did you get it from? Lavinia gave it to me. For a moment she cradled the club in her arms, as if it were a doll. She wouldn't tell me anything about it, though. She told me to take it if I was interested, and she would say nothing more. Jessie let the length dangle down from her hand and swung it gently back and forth. It doesn't seem like such hard work. Her eyes glinted for a moment with strange emotion. Imagine the blow if you struck a man with this. What? Why? Oh, it was a foolish thought, nothing more. I was thinking of chariots and queens. You are a queen. We are not soldiers and have no need to defend ourselves. There are brave men for that job. I mean, like, you can be a soldier if you want. Like my papa. Yes, you are lucky to have such a father. Sarah smiled, pleased to accept any compliments for her beloved papa, and thought no more of it. I wanted to do that event, but it's gone. Okay, let's hang out with Mariette. It's been a while. Come and see, come and see. Ah, mademoiselle, you do not need to tug at me. It is a promise I will follow. Her hand still held in Sarah's, Mariette stepped into the classroom. I am very sorry. I was too excited. That is quite all right then. Now, what is it that you wish to show me? Well, as it happens, it is more that I wished for you to show me. Miss Minchin keeps a globe in the schoolroom. I was hoping that you could show me where in France you were born. Ah, if it please you, mademoiselle. I do not think it will make much impact for you, though. The distance between one city and another, compared to the world, it is not so much. Dutifully, she turned the globe to bring France into view. Somewhere near here, I believe, would be this place. Sarah followed Mariette's finger, then smiled to herself. You are right, it does not tell me anything more than I already knew. Could you show me where you lived in India? Here, I think, or somewhere nearby. It's hard to be sure, but this is where the ship took us. Sarah tilted her head and considered Mariette curiously. You are very different from an Indian servant. My ayah was always kind to me, but she would never tell me if I were doing something wrong or making a mistake. Even if I asked for her opinion, she would always say that I was right. It was very confusing sometimes until I learned to ask my papa when I needed to know something. Your papa wrote of you that you were a clever and curious child who was eager to learn, and who would appreciate having the reasons explained to you. Yes, that is just so. It was another sign of how much her papa had considered her needs and well-being, and it made Sarah feel warm to think it. Every time Mariette speaks to me, it is a gift from my papa. I do miss my ayah sometimes, and the other servants from our home. They were always a part of my life, even the ones that worked directly for my papa and did not speak to me. They were familiar. I wish that I could see them again. All of my life, I suppose my life hasn't really been that long, has it? But for all my life, I always knew that I would have to go away like other children did. The climate of India is very bad for British children. How? So we must return to England and go to school. That is what everyone says. Everybody is wrong. I wonder, is the climate of England very bad for Indian children also? Perhaps that is why none of them travelled with us here. Perhaps that is so. If, as you say, the climate is very different, then it could be very difficult to adjust. However, mademoiselle, it is also very possible that they do not wish to travel so far from their homes and families that they love. Yes, that is very true. Oh, yes. I didn't think of that. They also might not be able to travel. I would not wish to leave either if I had the choice. I would rather be at home with my papa. It is very difficult to leave behind all that you have known and travel to a foreign land. But this is a foreign land to you. Wasn't it difficult to leave your family and your home in France? Mariette's smile was enigmatic. Who could say? Perhaps it is for the best. In the best of all possible worlds. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. I did not read that very well. Once again, Miss Minchin prepared to lead her students back from church to the safe confines of the seminary. However, it so happened that on this Sunday she caught sight of someone with whom she had business to conduct. Keep together now, girls. Form a line and wait here. Lavinia, dear, I am counting on you to maintain order. I will be only a few minutes. Yes, Miss Minchin. Miss Minch. As Miss Minchin walked away, Lavinia raised her chin with pride. She did not notice the conversations going on around her. Look, Sarah, Mama. Why is that tower so high? That is where they keep the church bells. They lift them up high so that they can be heard from far away. There is a man who lives up there, the tower keeper. It is his job to watch over the bells and keep them clean and ready to ring. He lives here? He never comes down? Sarah did not know how the tower keeper spent his days, but she had heard of wise men in India who kept vigils and of Christian stylites who lived atop pillars. No, never. The priests bring him food and water so that he never has to look down. He tends the bells and he thinks about God. Because he's so high up in the sky, sometimes, if he is very lucky, the clouds part and he can almost catch a glimpse of the land beyond. The shining city? And the fields of lilies? At this point, Lavinia noticed the two of them standing with their necks craned back. Sarah Crewe, whatever are you doing? You are gawking like foreigners. Sarah and Lottie lowered their heads, though not in Lottie's case, without protest. We are looking up at heaven where our mamas are. They live in a city with golden streets and fields of lilies and that everyone gathers. And they watch over us and whisper to us, and they visit the man in the bell tower. Sarah told me. You wicked thing, making up fairy stories about heaven. There are much more splendid stories in Revelation. How do you know mine are fairy stories? You're lying. You don't get that story from the Bible. You didn't get that story from the Bible. Read it for yourself. Streets of gold and gates of pearl and many more things besides. Perhaps the lilies are my own invention and perhaps they aren't. But I can tell you, you will never find out whether they are or not if you're not kinder to people than you are now. Oh! 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 What? But that's a very roundabout way of telling someone they're going to hell. Oh, my throat. Oh no. My voice is going. Water. But Sarah, perhaps feeling a bit ashamed of her burst of unheavenly temper, turned her head and refused to respond. That should be fine. even me. Goodness me. That could be worse. Sarah had been out in the town buying a new book, and as she rode in the comfortable carriage back to Miss Minchin's school, her mind was filling up with stories and histories. Quite unconsciously, she descended the carriage steps with the grace of a queen, looking much grander than she might have imagined if she were the sort of girl to think in great detail about how she looked. As Sarah crossed the pavement, she caught sight of a dingy little figure down on the servants' area steps, a girl with a soot-smudged face peering up at her with wide eyes. ... It's Becky! Something in the eagerness and timidity of that smudgy face made Sarah look back, and when she looked, she smiled because it was her way to smile at people. Gasp! The eyes went even wider, as if afraid that she ought not to have been caught looking at a pupil of importance. The maid, if that was what she was, turned and scurried back into the kitchen, vanishing as quickly as a reverse Jack-in-the-Box. A reverse Jack-in-the-Box. Poor little forlorn thing. I wonder who she is. Okie dokie. Who should we have an event with this time? Let's visit Ermengarde. This time it was Sarah. This time it was Sarah who was curled up near a window when Ermengarde found her. Sarah, I wanted to ask you something if you're not busy. Sarah raised her head and smiled. Only Ermengarde would realize that I might be busy when I am sitting and thinking. You can always ask me things. She paused, then added, I can't always answer, though. I might not know. Well, is it true that Miss Minchin has you to tea with visitors just so that you can speak French for them? Oh, well, I don't know if that is the only reason. I often do not say very much, and she still keeps me there for the rest of it. Some of her visitors are not very interested in French at all. Some of them prefer poetry, or want to tell me how they themselves saw India once upon a time. But sometimes, yes, Miss Minchin has guests who speak French and wishes me to converse with them. You really can speak it, then? Not just a few words or a sentence you memorize? Ermengarde's respectful tone made Sarah feel a bit off balance. She tucked up her feet, sat with her hands clasped around her knees. I can speak it because I have heard it all my life. You could speak it too if you had always heard it. Oh no, I couldn't. I could never speak it. Why not? Ermengarde shook her head so that the pigtails wobbled. You have heard me before. I'm always like that. I just can't say the words. They're so queer. They say queer a lot in this. I dare say that little French girls think the same things about English if they try to learn the language for the first time. But if you had heard it as a child... But I did. My father, he speaks 7 languages, or maybe 8, I forgot. I forget everything. I always have. Me too. Me too. You know what? Me too. My father never forgets. He has libraries and thousands of volumes in them, and he knows every one of them by heart. That sounds improbable. I'm thirsty. He says that when I was very young, he used to speak to me in different languages every day because he hoped that I would learn them all. But it only made me cry. My nurse made him stop because she was afraid that he would confuse me so much I would give up on talking altogether. I heard it from her that he says I am a severe trial because he is so very clever and I am notably and unmistakably dull. I am the monumental dunce of the school. That's not true. You are an adorable sweetie. You get head pats. Lovely head pats. I can't speak French. I can't recite poems without flubbing the words. My handwriting is too big and lumpy. I can't calculate quickly. I can't keep my king straight. I'm not good at anything. But you are. You are clever, aren't you, Sarah? The question was asked with a touch of awe in her voice. It made Sarah feel slightly odd to be the subject of such open admiration. Sarah looked out of the window into the dingy square where the sparrows were hopping and twittering on the wet iron rails and the sooty branches of the trees, and reflected a few moments. I'm just going to quickly check this. Oh, it seems like it's going good. Okay, cool beans. Yay! People have often said that I am clever, but am I? And if I am, then how did I come to be that way? I don't know, I can't tell. I think you are. I think you're wonderful. Ermengarde did not know why a lump came into her throat and her eyes felt as if tears were in them. Aww. You get head pats. Lavinia and Jessie are best friends. I wish we could be best friends. You're clever and I'm the stupidest child in the school, but I do so like you. Aww. You're not stupid, you're smart. You have emotional intelligence. I'm glad of that. It makes you thankful when you are liked. She stood up from the window and took Ermengarde's hands in hers. Yes, we will be friends. The very best of friends. And they were roommates. They were best friends. Nothing else ever. And I'll tell you what else. A sudden gleam lit her face. I can help you with your French lessons. You can try. New week. The weather was warm and fine, the skies of London unusually clear. As such, Miss Minchin had decided that the proper Sunday outing for her girls was a long walk through the parks and gardens, again, apparently. Keep up, keep together, a lady's health is... I forgot the voice. Keep up, keep together, a lady's health is also an important accomplishment. They seem like they're struggling a bit. While the temperature outside was not so great in itself, the ceaseless beating of sunlight upon little heads slowly made their Sunday dresses a difficult burden to bear. This is abominable. Abominable. My complexion will be ruined. I may have to write to my father and complain. She adjusted the position of the parasol on her shoulder and sighed. No proper young lady should be forced to drudge about on foot like this. Is that not why we have horses? Miss Minchin said that horses should have a day of rest on Sundays. Yeah, let the horses be restful. As if a horse would know or care what day it is. That's not the point. I deserve a carriage. It is the due of my rank. Lavinia was not the only girl complaining about the walk. Sarah, Mama, I'm tired. Everyone is tired. Sarah, Mama, won't you carry me? You have to walk for yourself. You're too big for me to carry you long. Besides, it would be undignified. Our Sarah may be many things, but she is not a horse. Perhaps you should ask Ermengarde. Oh, you are just a real piece of work. We love Ermengarde. Ermengarde is the sweetest, okay? She deserves all the head pats. You get no head pats. None. You get the head pats. 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 None for you. None for you. Blech. Lavinia, yeah. What did I say? I was only pointing out that she seems to be handling this walk better than Lottie is. Sure. Sarah looked at her friend. True enough, though Ermengarde's cheeks were as flushed as anyone else's, she appeared to be walking steadily along without slowing or complaining. Aren't you tired and hot? Yes. I always feel tired and hot when we walk back from church, so I'm used to it. But this walk is so much longer. It all seems the same to me. Ermengarde has great endurance. It is a virtue. A soldier must have great endurance and be able to carry on through much more difficult circumstances than this. A soldier might have to walk miles in the sun, in uniform, and carry a heavy pack besides, and be ready to fight when he arrives. Our lives are so much easier, but we must be good soldiers as best as we can. If Ermengarde can bear it, then I can bear it. If Jessie can bear it, then I shall have to bear it. What's that supposed to mean? What did you mean? Nothing. I don't want to bear it. I want someone to carry me. Lottie knows where it's at. You have legs. Use them. The same as we are. I don't want to. No one is going to carry you, so if you don't walk, you'll be left here all alone. Oh, that's mean. Don't say that. And then it will get dark, and the tigers will come and eat you up. Yee! Not the tigers. There aren't any tigers in London. You oughtn't to make things up like that. Well, she likes it when Sarah makes things up. Sarah doesn't tell her that tigers are going to eat her, okay? Oh my goodness. Sarah spoke quickly to head off the threat of Lottie deciding to cry and fuss. We will all have tea later in my rooms, and I will tell you stories. But first we must return to the school, which means we must walk. Lottie sighed and carried on. Patience. Okay, we need all the patience. 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 Anything else? Grace. Okay, we'll do that one then. The greatest power Sarah possessed was her power of telling stories and of making everything she talked about seem like a story, whether it was one or not. It was that power which Lavinia and certain other girls were most envious of, and at the same time most fascinated by, in spite of themselves. And it was in service of that power that so many of Miss Minchin's students had gathered in Sarah's jewel box rooms, seating themselves on chairs or cushions or rugs to listen. The princess sat on the white rocks beside the lagoon, with a shining white lily in her hands. And as she turned it this way and that, she watched its reflection dance across the water below. The waters of the lagoon lay still, crystal clear and green as glass. But the princess could only see her flower in the reflection, and never herself. So she looked, and she looked, until at last she saw a face in the waters. Not her face, but the face of a merman. Sarah went on to tell of the courtship between the princess and the merman prince, and the girls who listened sighed sweetly and leaned their cheeks against their hands or each other. Okay. It's the reverse Little Mermaid. As they listened, the door of the rooms swung silently open, and that same dirty figure Sarah had glimpsed before crept into the room, carrying a heavy coal box. The maid was cleaner than she had been on that other day, but seemed just as frightened. She hunched by the fire, afraid even to look at other children or appear to be listening. She put on pieces of coal cautiously with her fingers, so that she might not make no disturbing noises, and she swept about the fire irons very softly. But Sarah saw that she was doing her work slowly in hope of catching a word here and there, and realizing this, she raised her voice and spoke more clearly. The princess took her seat in the great clear bubble carriage, and a team of 6 seahorses pulled her into the ocean, with harnesses woven from pearls. Down into the sea they dove. At first the water grew dark, and the princess was afraid. But then, far below, fluttering and rippling through the depths, there shone a light. The small drudge from before the grate swept the hearth once, and then swept it again, and finally forgot to play at sweeping at all. The brush hung idly from her fingers as Sarah described winding grottos beneath the sea, paved with silver sand and lit by glowing sea stars. It was the choirs of the mermaids singing that proved her undoing. The forgotten brush slipped from her fingers to clatter against the hearth and drew Lavinia's attention. What? That girl has been listening! The culprit snatched up her brush and scrambled to her feet. She grabbed the coal box and simply scuttled out of the room like a frightened insect fleeing for cover. I knew she was listening. Why wouldn't she? She isn't one of us, Sarah. It isn't proper to talk with servants. Unless they are upper servants like your Mariette. That's alright. I wasn't talking with her, I was telling a story. I do not know whether your papa would like you to tell stories to servant girls, but I know my papa wouldn't like me to do it. My papa? I don't believe he would mind in the least. He knows that stories belong to everyone. Nothing belongs to everybody. If it did, they would all have to fight over it. No, they wouldn't, because it belongs to everyone. Like, why would you have to fight over something that belongs to everyone? That's silly. That's silly. You already have it. You don't need to fight for it. You already have it. Only loyal Ermengarde took Sarah's side. I think Sarah should tell stories to whomever she wants to tell them. You tell them. Head pats for you. We loves you. You were adorable. You're adorable. You wouldn't think it wrong if she told stories to Tybalt, would you? I should think it rather odd if she were telling stories to a cat. Oh, please, Sarah, Mama, finish the story. Sarah looked at the room full of eager, upturned faces. No one wished to follow and harass the fleeing maid, but no one wished to go and invite her back again either. Oh, that's sad. She would continue her fair story, but she would not forget. I am going to take a very quick break. Be right back. Okay, I have returned. Hi, Dozer. My dog's looking at me. Okay, who are we gonna hang out with? Silly Dozer dog. Let's hang out with Lottie. Sarah, Mama, can you tell me more about your mama? What was she like? Oh. Sarah set down her cup. I never met her, not really, so I only know what my papa and his friends have told me. You never met her? No, she died when I was born. Do you remember your mother? A little bit, but not very much. I'm afraid I'll forget. You must have been very young. No one expects you to remember everything perfectly. But isn't it bad if all I have is a little and I lose it? You don't have to remember it all yourself. You can ask other people who knew your mother to tell you about her. Sarah had a faraway little smile on her face, the sort that developed sometimes when she was supposing a story. My mother was from France. She had long, dark hair and a sparkling laugh. That is what my papa said first caught his attention. I don't think that I have a sparkling laugh. I believe I am more like my papa that way. I should like to hear someone else sparkle. Do I have a sparkly laugh? I don't know. What does it sound like when you laugh? Lottie's eyes swept back and forth, her little forehead wrinkled. I can't laugh with you looking at me. Well, maybe I will hear it someday when I am not looking. Tell me more. Was your mama beautiful and perfect? I don't think any person is perfect, but everyone says she was beautiful and calm and kind. Lottie fidgeted in her seat. She scooped up one of the little sugared biscuits and popped it into her mouth, all in one go. That required a good minute of chewing before she could speak again. Sounds like me. Do you ever think about if you'll be like your mama when you grow up? Not very often, no. In truth, while Sarah was certainly aware that she had once had a mother and her natural curiosity had brought about a few questions and answers, it was not a matter that greatly occupied her thoughts. Never having known her, Sarah had never had reason to miss her. Her absence was not a cause of sadness or reflection. It was nothing like the pain of being separated from her beloved papa. I suppose that I must become like her in some ways, as children do. But she died. When she became a mama, she died. Well, then I am already different, because I am already Emily's mother and yours as well. Reminded of her duties, Sarah fetched a handkerchief and brushed at Lottie's face. You were getting crumbs everywhere. You should be careful not to get your dress dirty. Your sister Emily is very good at keeping her clothes clean. You should look to her as your example. She is a model daughter. That's why Miss Minchin always calls people a model or a show. Lottie could not help but giggle. Looking at the hearth in her room, Sarah was reminded of the little servant girl she had seen before. In truth, she had looked for the girl earlier, but had been unable to spot such a person anywhere in the school. If not for the disagreement with her listeners, Sarah might have thought she had imagined her. Sarah understood that it would cause disruption if she barged into the kitchens to ask questions. She had only one bridge to rely on. Marriott, who is that little girl who makes the fires? Ah, Mademoiselle Sarah, you might well ask that poor little one. She has just recently been taken on as a scullery maid. Though scullery is the least of it, she is sent to do every task that no one else wants. She blacks the boots and grates, she carries the coal, scuttles up and down stairs, she scrubs the floors and the windows. I think she has not had enough to eat for years. She is older than her height would tell. and so timid. If I try to speak to her, her little eyes look to pop right out of her head. Aw, poor thing. What is her name? I hear that called often enough. Becky do this, Becky do that. Everyone below stairs orders her about. Becky. If life were a story, Becky might be the ill-used heroine. And perhaps a fairy godmother might come to her rescue. You have a kind heart, mademoiselle. Your papa would be proud. Now stand up straight. Let me have a good look at you. All right. Just as I thought, you are growing taller. I am? Sarah looked down at herself. I don't feel any different. How much have I changed since I've been in here? You are at that age, after all. I will have to alter a few things. How tall will I grow before I see my papa again? Okay, let's do that. Done. Now with the patience. It could be worse. Sarah, come and see. Okie dokie. A number of students were drawn to the sound of Ermengarde's excitement. It was not often that a girl would call for such attention in her bedroom, particularly not quiet Miss St. John. What is it? Look through the window there. That tree outside, can you see it? From the door to the room, Lavinia smirked. I should hope that she can see the tree outside, or else she needs eyeglasses. Hush, be quiet. What do you want me to see, Ermengarde? There's a nest in the branches there, and there are eggs in it. Soon there will be baby birds. Isn't that darling? Babies? Baby birds. Where? Must everyone come into my room? If you do not wish to attract attention in the future, do not bellow. Where are the babies? They're still inside the eggs, Lottie. There will be baby birds sometime in the future. Can baby birds see inside eggs? I don't know. No, I think they're asleep. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have a bird for a pet? You could feed it from your hand and it would sing to you. Baby birds are not wonderful. They're horrible pink-skinned creatures with no eyes. Disgusting. Baby birds are cute. Monsters! No, they aren't very pretty when they're born, but they change as they grow up. A lot of things do. Soon little birds are covered in fuzz all over. Fluffy chicks are adorable. But then they grow up and learn to fly. Even if I tried to keep a bird as a pet, it would probably fly away. Why are you sniffing, Dozer? Okay, you walk around and sniff. There were people in India who kept parrots as pets, not even in cages. They can be trained to ride on someone's shoulder. My papa knew a man who gave his bird. He gave his bird. He gave his bride to be a parrot. That he taught to recite love poetry to her. Oh, that's very romantic and sweet. How romantic. Yeah, that's what I just said. I don't think a bird is a very romantic gift. What if she didn't want a pet? What if it pulled her hair? Lavinia reached out and tugged at a strand of Jessie's long red hair. Quack! My beloved is mine, and I am hers. She feedeth among the lilies. Quack! Stop that! She swatted Lavinia's hand away. Are you going to take one of the eggs out of the nest to raise it? I know, that wouldn't be right. Little birds need their parents to survive. Jessie combed her hair back into place with her fingers. At least until their parents shove them out of the nest. Birds do that, don't they? Do they, Sarah, Mama? Only when it's time for the young ones to learn to fly. After all, they can't stay eggs forever. Okay. Let's visit Marriott. Sarah lay on her bed, resting her cheek against the cool fabric of her pillow. The light of the mid-morning sun gleamed where it touched the surfaces in her room, gliding them with a fairy's brush. Perhaps if I lay still enough, I will catch sight of a fairy coming to visit me. The next face she saw was not that of a visiting fairy. Do you try to catch your dreams, mademoiselle? I can leave you to sleep. I have tried in the past to go back into the same dreams, but it never seems to work. Or if it does work, I can't remember it. You don't always remember in dreams. She shifted positions, curling onto her side. I just don't feel like getting up today. I'm sorry. Let me see. She laid her dark hand against Sarah's forehead. You may be a little warm, I cannot tell. Does your throat hurt? No, I'm only tired. It is better to prevent than to heal. I will fetch you some porridge and salt water. She bustled out of the room, leaving Sarah to contemplate in silence. I do hope that I am not ill. It would be most unpleasant. Yes, but getting sick is unpleasant indeed. I do not quite feel ill. As long as I think nice thoughts and don't feel ill, then I am not ill, I think. Many young people would have difficulty remaining in their beds all day unless they were too ill to do otherwise. It was easier for Sarah, who enjoyed spinning fancies in her mind. I do not truly need to leave my bed in order to play out stories. In fact, with Marriott to bring me food, I might never need to leave these rooms at all. Is a dream come true. Much appreciate. Like a princess bricked up in a tall tower, the prisoner of a wicked regent who means for her to be forgotten, so that he can steal her kingdom in peace. She would be diligent at her studies, even within her tiny bedroom, so that one day when she was rescued or escaped, she would be ready to take back her rightful lands. That was a diverting fantasy, but it led Sarah to a more practical curiosity. There was, after all, someone close to her who did spend most of her days within these rooms. When Marriott returned with her tray of tonics, Sarah asked, Marriott, what do you do during the days while I am away? Since she is my maid and not Miss Minchin's, she should not be made to do other work. But she is always here when I need her, so she must not go anywhere else. Oh, many things. She set down the tray. I look over your wardrobe and check for anything that might need mending. I might do a bit of embroidery on my own. And I do read your books. That is how you wished it, yes? I did not think to ask each time that I... Oh I am glad that someone else reads them. I have many books, and some of them I only read once. I worry that they might feel neglected. Sarah looked around the room at all of her pretty things, the gifts from her papa. They were all precious to her, but if you wish to, it is all right for you to play with my toys while I am in classes. I know that I can trust you not to break them. But please make sure to leave Emily a little bit of private time when no one is watching her, so that she can sleep and relax. If Mariette wished to laugh, she was too polite to do so. Mercy, mademoiselle. Now sit up, if you please, and have a bit of breakfast. If you are too weak, then I shall have to spoon the porridge into you myself. I am well, I'm wonderfully well. She laughed, for it was true. She did feel better. Girls, gather around, if you please. Today I have arranged a special outing for your edification. Edification? We will be attending the British Museum of Natural History. Natural? Does that mean plants? Ugh, I hope not. There's nothing edifying about plants. It could be interesting to attend a museum of plants with people who know all about them and can tell their stories. You mean gardeners? Maybe we'll get to play in a garden. Quiet now. Form up. Let's go. Ooh, T-Rex. It's going to eat me. It can't eat you, Lottie. It's not a real dinosaur. It's a former dinosaur. It's dead. It's going to follow me. Valid concern. I don't think it will fall. It's really rather interesting. It's an amazing find. It's disturbing. It's a monster. It's marvelous. Jessie shivered and took Lottie's hand in hers. Come on, let's go find something to look at that isn't dead. I think that everything in the museum may be... Then we will look at the walls. They are rather pretty walls. You'll look at the exhibits with me, won't you, Sarah? Yes, of course. Are you coming, Lavinia? No, I want to look at this one a little while longer. I'll catch up with you two in a few minutes. Two? You are here, aren't you? Right. Sarah wondered if this was the first time that that Lavinia had ever preferred Ermengarde's company to Jessie's. Oh, look at that cat. Okie dokie. Yeah, we'll just do the same. Yeah, patience. Okay, it could be worse. Sarah was awoken from her sleep by the sound of knocking. I can't say that. I can't say that. It's alright, I'll get the door. Lottie? Sarah, Mama! The younger girl clung to Sarah. I had a bad dream and the monster was going to eat me, and when I woke up and it was dark and I thought I saw something. Bones! There were bones in my room. Monster bones. Oh, that sounds terrifying. Shh, it's alright. Mariette, where are my slippers? The maid brought the fluffy white shoes for Sarah to slip onto her feet. I will walk you back to your room and show you that it's safe. They went into the hallway together, two little girls in the dark. You're not mad? I wake you up. Well, I want to sleep, but you want to sleep too. And if you're too afraid, you can't sleep. But if I help you, then we both can. Lottie blinked her eyes a few times, but said nothing. There, we see. There we are. See? No bones. Just a tree's shadow. Right. She paused at the door. Sarah, Mama? I didn't really think there were bones in my room. I mean, I thought it, but I didn't really believe it was true. I knew that it wasn't. I just wanted to feel better. I'm sorry. Sarah nodded slowly. Sometimes when you pretend things, even if you know behind the doors in your mind that they're not quite real, they still feel as if they were. It isn't wrong to believe in what you pretend. It can be. It can be. Lottie smiled. I will pretend I'm going to have good dreams. That's a good thing to pretend. That is a very nice thing to pretend. I believe I will too. And with that, she returned to her bed. Okay, who are we going to spend time with? Let's spend time with Lavinia. That's always interesting. Here, Tybo, come to me. Come. The cat eyed her from across the room, but made no move to approach. You can't call a cat as if it were a particularly stupid child. It's beneath his dignity. He will come when he wishes, or not at all. The other girl tusked and continued to beckon. You're just a sweet kitty, aren't you? Here, Tybo, come here. He isn't listening to you. He is. I saw his ears twitch when I said his name. Maybe I am too high up. Cats pay more attention to things on their level, don't they? Do you wish to be on the same level as a pet? Sarah entered the room to find Jessie kneeling on the floor, cooing and curling her fingers in Tybolt's direction. His eyes tracked her motions, but he came no closer. What are you doing? Jessie is attempting to demonstrate her skill with animals. Jessie climbed to her feet and shook out her hair. I know I'm not as good with Tybolt as you are, Levy, but I am trying. If you had a cat in the future, I would want to be sure that she liked me. Why she? Why not? I mean, there isn't an actual cat yet, so one is the same as the other, isn't it? You might like to have a she-cat. She-cat means kittens, and that can be a problem. Oh, but kittens are darling. Not when you don't know what to do with them all. In the countryside, they sweep extra kittens up into sacks and drown them. Oh, oh my god! That is terrible. No. We're not doing that. No. That's terrible. Drown them. Yeah, exactly. That's my thought. You wouldn't. I would certainly rather not, which is an argument against she-cats. I mean, like, just keep your cat inside. Like, if you can't get your cat de-sexed, just keep it inside. Like, keep it in the house. Don't let it wander. Well, perhaps not every cat wants to have kittens. That is very true. Nature takes its course. In the midst of this discussion, as if finding the subject distasteful, Tybalt rose and softly padded out of the room. Oh, there he goes. Well then, there's your chance. Let's see if you can coax him to come back without picking him up and carrying him. Jessie nodded, accepting the challenge, and tiptoed away after the cat, murmuring endearments. Oh, excuse me. My nose. Lavinia made a show of looking incredibly bored by the proceedings before turning her attention to Sarah. I wonder, are there cats in India? Sarah was startled. It was the first time Lavinia had willingly raised the subject of India. Perhaps this is why she sent Jessie away, so that we would not be heard. You do not remember then? I was very young when I came to England. I do not remember anything at all. This is my home. Most parents want to keep their children near them as long as possible. I would have stayed forever if I could. Why was Lavinia sent away? Well, there are tigers, of course, but people can't keep those. Of course not. They are far too proud to be tamed. There are hunting leopards, which great Rajas keep. Papa said they are used to chase gazelles, like the Englishmen use stag hounds to hunt deer. Is that true? But they have to trap the wild leopards first. The leopards never have kittens when they live with humans. I don't know why. That would solve some problems. I might like to have my own hunting cat. You want a leopard? She rubbed her hands together with an expression of wicked pleasure that made Sarah herself feel sympathy for the gazelles. All of a sudden, Lavinia frowned. Of course, I am nothing like that word, whatever that is. It's Raja. What about smaller cats then? Well, I couldn't say about everyone. India is a very large place. But my ayah said that cats in the house are unlucky and sly. People don't want them. Oh, that's unfortunate. We like cats here. Superstitious nonsense. Serves them right if they are overrun by snakes and mice. It isn't overrun. Sarah, I am certain that your father kept a clean and well-ordered house. Of course you were not overrun with pests. You were pampered and protected as you should be. Uh-huh. That does not mean the rest of India is... Stop it! She tossed her hair. Thank you for your time. Now I'm going to find Jessie now. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm done with this. All right. Sarah watched her go, a tiny frown lingering in her absence. Yeah, we'd be angry. These head pats. Lavinia understands that not everybody is so lucky as to be born into a life like hers or mine, but she just doesn't care. I need to know her story. I need to know. Mademoiselle, hold out your hands, your arms like so, if you please. Sarah extended her arms, letting them drift into ballet second position. Now, over your head so I can see the fabric stretch. It's been a long time. It's been almost 2.5 hours. This is our longest stream yet. It's good. Marriott was making the final adjustments to Sarah's new pink dancing frock. After pointing out that Sarah's change in height meant her old ones no longer fit just so. Ah, a touch. Just there. Take it off again, if you please, and I'll have it done before your next lesson. Sarah wriggled free of the soft fabric and handed it over. It's such a beautiful colour, and the skirt is so light. Dancing in that, I shall feel like a pink butterfly floating in the breeze, or a fairy princess with wings like rose petals. Roses? That is what it needs. A wreath of roses for your head. I will find some buds at the florist's. The mental picture of herself decked out in a pink dancing frock with a crown of flowers was so delightful that Sarah laughed aloud. Sometimes, oh, sometimes, life is so beautiful. I wonder if I have pretended it into being. Mademoiselle does have a very good imagination. No, it is like... I can say words, I promise. I take some deep breaths. No, it is the magic. The magic shapes our lives and makes everything wonderful. Sarah's heart was lighter than a feather. Cool. Cool beans. We need more patience, we need more knowledge, belief, vigor, blah blah blah. We'll go for a walk. Go for a walk here. There we go. Writing. Reading. Writing. We need some patience, please. Okay. 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 It's not too bad. Sarah's rooms at Miss Minchin's seminary were not like the rooms of ordinary pupils who were meant to be satisfied with simple necessities. There were pictures and books and curious things from India. There was a sofa and the low, soft chair Emily sat in, a chair of her own, with the air of a presiding goddess. And there was always a glowing fire and a polished grate. Because the room was such a nice, bright, pretty place, the little scullery maid known as Becky liked to save it until the end of her afternoon's work. If luck was with her, she could snatch a few minutes to sit alone in the soft chair and look around, thinking about the wonderful good fortune of the child who owned such surroundings. On this afternoon, when she had sat down, the sensation of relief to her short, aching legs had been so wonderful and delightful that it had seemed to soothe her whole body, and the glow of warmth and comfort from the fire had crept over her like a spell. Oh, you deserve pats. You get head pats. Head pats, lovely, lovely head pats. Click. Her hard-working young body was tired past the limits of endurance. As she looked at the red coals, a tired, slow smile stole over her smudged face. Her head nodded forward until her being aware of it, and her eyelids drooped. Thus it was that when Sarah returned to her rooms, her mind full of song and dance, she found an empty coal box on her floor, and a maid so deeply asleep that she might have been an enchanted princess. Oh, that poor thing. We do the snore. Becky looked nothing like an illustration of Sleeping Beauty. Her gown was stained, her face smeared with soot, and her poor little handkerchief hung half of her head. Even her face beneath the dirt was a plain one. She looked only like an ugly, stunted, worn-out little scullery drudge. Whoa! Wow. Okay. That's rude. Okay. That is not a nice thing to say about someone. Oh my god, my voice. Oh my goodness. Goodness me. But Sarah was not cross to find such a figure in her own favourite chair. The ill-used heroine of the story. Now at last I can talk to her when she awakes. She crept closer to the chair, walking quietly on raised feet, and stood there looking at her. That is weird. That's weird. Don't just stand there and watch people sleep. I mean, maybe if you know them really well, like if they're your kid or your partner, like then it's not as creepy. But don't look at strangers sleeping. That's weird. I wish she'd waken herself. I don't wish to waken her, but Miss Minchin will be cross if she finds out. I'll just wait a few more minutes. She took a seat on the edge of the bed and sat swinging her slim legs. If Miss Minchin came looking for Becky, she was sure to be scolded. But she is so tired, so tired. At that moment, Sarah's indecision was interrupted by a popping sound from the fire. A piece of flaming coal had broken and shifted. Becky did not realize at first that she had fallen asleep. She only remembered sitting down for a moment and the gentle glow, and now she found herself staring in wild alarm at the wonderful pupil, who sat perched quite near her like a fairy. That's weird. I'd be scared. I'd be much scared. Ah! Yeah. Becky sprang to her feet, clutching at her kerchief to set it right. Oh, miss, I asked your pardon. Miss, oh, I do, miss. Sarah put her dainty feet on the ground and stood. Don't be frightened. It doesn't matter the least bit. I didn't go to do it, miss. It was the warm fire and me being so tired. It weren't impertinence. Sarah broke into a friendly little laugh. You were tired. You couldn't help it. You are not really awake yet. ain't you angry, miss? Ain't you gonna tell the missus? No, of course not. I'm not. Here, head pats, all the head pats. I know I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have touched your things, miss. Sarah shook her head. Why, we are just the same. I am only a little girl like you. It's just an accident that I am not you and you are not me. An accident, miss? Have you done your work? Dare you stay a few minutes? Here, miss? Me? If your bedrooms are finished, perhaps you might stay a tiny while. I thought perhaps you might like a piece of cake. Cake. Cake? Me? Yeah, look at the shiny eyes. She's so happy. Oh, give her all the cake. Give that girl all the cake. Give them the cake. Not a slice. Just give them a whole freaking cake. Just a whole cake. So cute. Head pats. Yes, of course. The next 10 minutes seemed to Becky like a sort of fever dream. The show pupil opened a cupboard and produced a thick slice of cake. Give her the whole cake. Give her the entire cake. All for her, and actually seemed enthusiastic about watching Becky eat it. At least get your own cake too. You're sitting there watching people sleep, watching people eat cake. Oh dear. Dear, dear, dear. Oh. Okie dokie. In between bites, Sarah managed to get answers to a few questions. A few weeks ago, you were watching me through the area railing, weren't you? Yes, miss. Once I saw a princess. I was standing in the street with the crowd outside Covent Gardens, watching the swells go into the opera, and there was one everyone stared at most. They said to each other, "That's the princess." She was a grown up young lady, but she was pink and lace all over, and flowers, and always pretty and anything. That's what you looked like, miss. That day, you looked like her. I've often thought that I should like to be a princess. I wonder what it feels like. I believe I will begin pretending that I am one. Ain't you all ready? From elsewhere in the school, there was the sound of a door slamming. Oh, miss, I've got to go. Got to go. Come back someday when you have more time and I can finish that story you were listening to. I'm always putting new bits to it in my head. Okay, we give them head pats before they leave. Head pats. Oh, miss, if you do that, I won't mind how heavy the coal boxes was, or what cook done to me. If I might have that to think of. Do we need to beat up a cook? Do we need to tell off a cook? Yeet that cook. Get rid of him. Throw him in the bin. She bobbed an awkward little curtsy, grabbing her kerchief when it slipped again, and then hurried from the room. Ooh, okay. Let me check. Ooh, 2 hours and 36 minutes. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, it's getting a bit late. I think we're gonna leave it here. We've been on here for a long time, and I don't know if my computer can handle all this streaming. So yeah, thank you to the few people who dropped in. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you had a lovely time. Oh, we can spend time with Becky now. Ooh. Okay, next time we're going to spend time with Becky. Main menu. Yes. So, yeah. Today was a good day. Aside from the fact that I couldn't do drawing this morning, but I've been enjoying this visual novel. It's a bit weird in spots. It's a bit weird, but it's cute. So, I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone's doing good, and that you guys have a great rest of the day. Yeah, I'ma go now. Thank you for being here. Stay lovely. take care of yourselves, take care of each other, drink lots of water, and yeah, goodbye.